So I'm here. Finally, after everything I've learned, I'm gonna climb Mount Shasta. My climb starts at Bunny Flat, where I begin a steep ascent of 1,000 feet up to Horse Camp, my last chance to fill up my water bottle. After that, it's roughly a 2,500-foot climb up to Helen Lake and Base Camp, where I'll spend the night. From there, we have the most treacherous part of the journey ahead, the Red Banks area, the steepest part of the climb, where most accidents happen. And with any luck, the summit. All right, so I just arrived at Horse Camp. This is the last stop to do your business before you have to use the dew bag and get some spring water. So I'm gonna fill up the water bottles, take this pack off for 5 minutes and float away. And then the next stop is Base Camp. Fresh spring water. And this is it, all the way to the top, because we're going all the way to the top. In the beginning of my journey, I'm filled with excitement. Like most adventures, this excitement can make the journey seem easy at first. I'm carrying a 60-pound pack, but you wouldn't know it because my adrenaline is pumping. But after a little elevation gain, reality sets in. The pace settles down and I'm realizing I'll need to really push myself. This is the trail. Straight up that. When it gets really steep, the poles help. Still got a long way to go. All the way up there. See those little dots? Those are people, and that's not even halfway to base camp. What did I get myself into? I'm really starting to feel the altitude right now and this 60-pound pack. But apparently I was just warned, since it's a little later in the day, that it's pretty soupy and the snow has been melting and there's a good chance that we can fall like 5 or 6 feet down. We have to be very, very careful that we don't do what they call post hole. It's so loose and steep. I just keep sliding. There's so much downtime for your mind to kind of wander, but you really have to focus on what you're doing. It's a big mental game. And part of that is taking it just a step at a time. You have to respect the mountain and the altitude that you're at. We're about 2 hours to base camp, and I have to start trekking through some deep snow, so I might have to put on my crampons here shortly. But I'm gonna try to go as long as I can without, because I'm wearing some comfortable shoes, and I don't wanna put myself in some blistery boots. Where we're going, there is no trail. It's very late in the day and the snow is melting. I'll tell you, I don't know what I would do without poles. This is steep, and the snow is super loose. So keep sliding. Whoa, whoa! It's almost turning into soup underneath my shoes, which have zero traction. I probably should have put on my mountaineering boots instead of wearing my mountain biking shoes. But I'll have to tough it out and get to base camp before dark. I've never seen that. What is a spider doing in the snow at 10,000 feet? He's got a long way before he hits dry land. The one thing that I noticed is when you're climbing the mountain, even if you're with a group, you know, I have a very small crew, you're kind of climbing the mountain alone. Everybody's going at their own pace, and we're all in our own rhythm and our breathing, and you're just at one with the mountain. And it's really cool because, you know, even though you're with a group of people, you have this personal experience, and it's pretty breathtaking. Finally, we're at base camp. First order of business is setting up my tent for the night. All right, here we are at base camp. This is my new home. Oh, I feel like I'm floating. Since I'm the new kid on the block, I thought it would be a good idea to make my rounds and meet my neighbors. One of those guys has climbed Denali before, so I was keen to hear what he had to offer about the rest of my trip.
It's a give and take. We're considering the temperatures and the snow conditions.
Okay.
Early in the morning, the snow might be a little bit firm for crampons and ice axe. I mean, if you think about it, if you're coming down a steep hill and you're not really getting too much give underneath your foot, you're not really making a step for yourself.
Right.
You're gonna roll a little bit forward and you're gonna be leaning forward as you're coming down the hill. Potentially, depending on how hard the snow still is, you could be looking at something dangerous. We're gonna take a little bit of a risk here with the weather potentially coming in tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we're going to start later in order to give ourselves a better safety margin in terms of descent.
I see. I'm just worried about the winds. What did they say the winds are going to kick up to tomorrow?
The last that I saw was 50 miles an hour. 50 mile an hour winds on the summit are going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So being up there in the later afternoon will be a problem. If you get clouds coming in with those winds, the clouds are going to make visibility 0, and you risk the potential for getting lost coming off the summit, which would be an even bigger problem.
Right. So it's like, do I leave really early and deal with the hard snowpack?
Right.
Or do I leave a little later and get caught in a storm?
Right. So we're trying to ride the line right in the middle.
That's a risky line to ride. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't having second thoughts. With high winds and whiteout conditions tomorrow, it'll be the most challenging test yet. But enough negative thinking. I have a sunset to catch. There is nothing like this view. Look at that sunset. I haven't seen a sunset this beautiful in a long time. This is incredible. Maybe it's a sign of good things to come. Tomorrow is a new day. All right, well, I'm just about ready to go to bed. But first, a meal in a bag. So, it's 3:30 in the morning now. We're gonna head up the mountain right now. And as you can see, the highway of lights, this is where everybody is ascending. All right, let's get moving. With the promise of bad weather moving in, I'm setting out early. This next section of the climb, affectionately called the bowling alley, is where I'll need to draw on everything I've learned so far. But as I make my way up, I'm still learning new tips from other climbers, like the French technique. So, the French technique is actually kind of pointed down, right?
Right, so the super hard snow or super hard ice, if you angle a crampon down, you're gonna get 12 points of contact instead of maybe 6, like what we're getting right now.
But if it's icy, you want to kind of do one of these.
Get down, get your 12 points, and then you're in a position of stability.
So it's good to learn some tips on the route. And just after getting into the groove, Shasta hands out a little reward. Look at this. This is Shasta's shadow. I've never seen anything like that. This unique perspective is my payoff for the hard work I've put in so far. But up here, you can't be off your guard, and it's best not to turn your back for too long. Up ahead, the other climbers are digging into a mix of snow and loose rock. If the rocks crumble off, they can speed down the mountain like a freight train. Whoa. We just had a really close call. There was a rock that flew down here. These people are up here in all these rocks when they should be on the snow, and it's kicking rocks down at us, and it's super steep right now and dangerous. And we just had a rock fling by us. Just want to show you how loose and crumbly this volcanic rock is up here. I mean, literally, I could just put my hand on that and the whole thing would just start to crumble. So that's why it's a danger, because this area right here is super steep. And when these rocks fall, they create a lot of momentum. We're at the steepest part so far. I mean, if you fall, you're going down a ways. That sun feels so good. We got a lot of wind here on this ridge though. And we still have a long way to go. I've made it through Red Banks unscathed, but there is another big obstacle between me and the summit, Misery Hill. I'm guessing that name is a bit of a foreshadowing of the misery that lies ahead. Look at this crevasse. Careful, that goes down a ways. Okay, it's not a very big crevasse, but it's the first one I've seen up close. So yeah, I'm a bit freaked out. Oh my goodness. Move fast off that. The wind has really picked up. Probably like 45-mile-an-hour gusts. We still have Misery Hill to do, which is all the way up there. Those clouds are rolling in fast, so we have to hurry. It is very windy right now, and this cloud is rolling in, and I'm really worried. We still probably have 1,000 feet to go. The altitude is really starting to affect me. I'm dizzy and nauseous. I've gone 7,000 feet in 7 miles. Growing up in the Rockies, I'm used to high elevation, but this is really a test. I'm almost to the summit. I'm so lightheaded and out of breath. Look at that. Those are those clouds, and we gotta get out of the way of. Here we are, here's the summit. All right, we gotta get out of here right now, because look at that. If we're not careful, we're gonna be in a whiteout, so as much as I'd like to chat with you and everybody else, and we can't. I do not want to be stuck in a whiteout. That's how people die. If I want to avoid a whiteout, the fastest way down the mountain is to glissade, but it's too steep here. I'll have to get to a safer spot fast. Those clouds rolling in, it's not good.
It's common for people to wander off the wrong side of the mountain. Clouds come in and you can't see. Was exhausted, dehydrated, hypothermic the next day.
Whoa! I went a little too fast. Thank God for the self-arrest. This is about what we're going into right now. We're gonna be in a whiteout. That's our route, right straight down there. So I was apprehensive about glissading with it being this steep, but a lot of people are doing it. So I guess, you know, if one person jumps off the bridge, we all do it. Here goes nothing. Self-arrest. Close call, but this is why we practice self-arresting. Coming down Red Banks is treacherous, but it's not just me having issues with this tricky descent. Turns out I just needed to get into the right groove.
Much better. Much better. This is fun, but it's also a little scary. Oh, you don't want to get going too fast. Woo! I'm skiing on my butt. All the way to base camp. Emergency brake. Ooh, you have to use some serious muscles to dig in the edge of your ice axe. Hooray, back to base camp. Right before all these nasty clouds. Look at that.
It's been the adventure of a lifetime. I came here for the full Mount Shasta experience, and she did not disappoint. My body, and most importantly, my soul, has been awakened. The people of Mount Shasta have welcomed me as one of their own, and I leave here taking their spirit of kindness with me to my next adventure. I met people along the way that made me see a different side of life. They embody the rich fabric of humanity that makes life worth living. Whether I'm on stage behind the decks or on top of the summit, the adrenaline rush is the same. It's about being in the moment and giving it my all.